Ever spent hundreds on a new monitor only to realize it looks worse than your old one? From fake 1ms response times to panels that flicker like a candle in the wind, not all screens are created equal. After digging through lab tests, Reddit feedback, and thousands of verified reviews, we ranked 15 of the most talked about monitors of 2025 and the ones you should absolutely avoid, to the few that actually deliver on their promises. And trust me, one of the biggest brands on this list didn't even make the top 10. Before we dive in, all updated prices and full specs are linked below. Check them out for the best current deals. The Samsung S80UA, the stylish trap. It looks premium, slim bezels, USB-C power delivery, clean design. On paper, this should be the perfect productivity monitor. But in practice, the Samsung S80UA is the definition of a visual letdown. At 27 inches in 4K resolution, it promises sharp detail, but the 60Hz refresh rate instantly makes it feel dated. Scrolling or editing videos just looks sluggish. And in a mediocre 1000:1 contrast ratio, and dark scenes turn gray instead of deep black. Users on Reddit and Amazon echo the same frustration. Looks great on the desk, but dull on the screen. It's fine for basic office use, spreadsheets, emails, browsing, but not for anyone who cares about motion, HDR, or gaming. The takeaway? Beautiful design, boring experience. A monitor that tries to look modern but performs like it's still in 2018. Next on our blacklist, a monitor that looks great until you turn on HDR. Dell G3223Q750B, the big screen letdown. At first glance, the Dell G3223Q750B looks like a dream setup, a big 32-inch curved VA panel with a 144Hz refresh rate and 4K resolution. For gamers, that combination sounds perfect, but once HDR is switched on, everything falls apart. Despite the marketing claims, this monitor only hits around 400 nits of brightness. That's technically HDR capable, but in practice it means washed out highlights, dull explosions, and colors that never quite pop. Users on Reddit call it HDR in name only. The VA panel does have strong contrast and solid blacks, but motion clarity suffers. Fast scenes leave a faint smear, especially in darker areas, and when paired with consoles or mid-range GPUs, it can't maintain those high frame rates it advertises. If you're using it purely for office work or movies, it's fine. But as a gaming display, the HDR disappointment keeps it near the bottom of this list. On our next monitor, testers found a nasty flickering surprise. Cooler Master Tempest GP27U, the flickering frustration. This one fooled a lot of people, and for good reason. The Cooler Master Tempest GP27U has all the right numbers on paper. 4K resolution, 160Hz refresh rate, mini LED backlight, and even HDR 1000 certification. But in real-world use, that promise quickly unravels. Users and reviewers alike found a major problem. Flickering! It shows up during HDR playback, variable refresh rate gaming, or even just switching tabs. Cooler Master has released firmware updates, but the issue still appears randomly, especially when adaptive sync is enabled. When it works, the image quality is genuinely impressive. Bright, sharp, with excellent HDR tone mapping, but that's what makes it so frustrating. You never know when the flicker will hit. For creators or gamers who need consistency, it's a deal breaker. And at around $400, that inconsistency knocks it out of serious consideration. Next up, a budget gaming monitor that promises smooth 120Hz gameplay, but its low resolution kills the experience. Acer SH272G0BIH, the 1080p oversight. Acer's SH272G0BIH tries to hit the sweet spot between budget and performance. It's a 27-inch IPS display with 120Hz refresh rate. That sounds like a great deal for casual gaming or productivity. But the issue becomes obvious the moment you sit down. 1080p on a 27-inch screen just doesn't cut it anymore. The pixel density is so low that text looks grainy, icons appear oversized, and you can actually see individual pixels if you sit too close. Brightness also caps at around 250 nits, which means colors look muted in bright rooms. It's lightweight and thin, sure, but that's because there's no real internal depth or backlight strength to drive vivid images. For students or office setups, it's acceptable. For gamers or creators, it's a quick reminder why resolution matters. And speaking of compromises, our next monitor proves that speed alone doesn't guarantee a sharp or enjoyable picture. The AOC C27G2Z, the blurry speedster. This is one of those monitors that grabs attention with big numbers. A 240Hz refresh rate, 0.5 ms response time, and a sleek curved design for under $200. Sounds like a deal, right? Until you start gaming. That high refresh rate can't hide the monitor's biggest flaw: pixelated image quality. The 1080p resolution stretched across a 27-inch VA panel makes everything look soft and slightly fuzzy. Text lacks definition, and in fast-paced scenes, you'll notice color smearing and ghosting, especially in darker areas. Contrast is decent thanks to the VA panel, but brightness is limited, and HDR performance barely qualifies as HDR at all. It's smooth, but it just doesn't look good doing it. AOC nailed the speed spec, but missed the clarity. Great for budget esports, not so great for anyone else. Next, we're stepping up to something far more balanced, but still held back by weak contrast and underwhelming HDR. Now, the Dell G2724D, the balanced but flat performer, sits right in that middle range sweet spot. 27 inches, 1440p resolution, and 165Hz refresh rate. It's marketed as a reliable gaming display with solid ergonomics and Dell's usual build quality, and for the most part, it is. Input lag is impressively low, and motion handling feels fluid, exactly what casual gamers want. But the issue lies in its contrast and HDR performance, which are both disappointingly average. The IPS panel delivers accurate colors, but blacks appear washed out, especially in dim rooms. HDR support exists in name only, brightness peaks around 400 nits, and the image just doesn't pop the way it should. If you're playing lighter titles or using it for productivity, it's comfortable and consistent, but for immersive gaming or movie watching, it feels flat. Technically competent, emotionally dull. If the previous Dell felt a little lifeless, this one tries to make up for it with richer contrast and a deeper cinematic feel. The slow but stunning mid-ranger, the Dell S2722DGM, uses a 27-inch curved VA panel with 1440p resolution and 165Hz refresh rate. And for its price, it delivers one of the best contrast ratios in its class, around 3,000:1. Games look vibrant, shadows feel genuinely dark, and the curve adds a nice touch of immersion. But here's the catch: response times aren't great. Fast camera pans or dark scenes reveal a bit of ghosting, especially in high-motion games. Now that's not deal-breaking, but it's enough to remind you this isn't a premium esports display. For casual gaming and everyday use, it's a pleasant experience. The picture looks great, and Dell's build quality holds up. Just don't expect lightning-fast performance. The Gigabyte M28U, the 4K all-rounder that couldn't quite commit, is one of those monitors that wants to do it all. 4K resolution, 144Hz refresh rate, HDMI 2.1 ports, and even a built-in KVM switch so you can control two devices with one keyboard and mouse. It's a feature-packed hybrid for both gaming and productivity, but the experience doesn't quite match the specs. While the image is crisp and detailed, its HDR implementation feels weak, maxing out at around 300 nits. Blacks lack depth, highlights look flat, and reflections can be distracting in bright rooms. Reviewers also pointed out its fixed stand, which doesn't swivel, a small but consistent annoyance if you adjust your setup often. Color accuracy and input lag are solid, so it's not a bad monitor, just one that feels like it's trying to please everyone and ends up pleasing no one completely. The Color Pro that plays it too safe, the BenQ PD3225U, is built for creative professionals. Think designers, video editors, or photographers who care more about color accuracy than frame rates. It's a 32-inch 4K IPS black panel that delivers excellent color consistency and near-perfect MacBook integration through Thunderbolt connectivity. Out of the box, it's impressively calibrated, accurate skin tones, neutral whites, and smooth gradients. The contrast ratio also benefits from the newer IPS black technology, giving slightly deeper blacks than standard IPS displays. So where does it fall short? Brightness! HDR mode tops out around 400 nits, making highlights look dim and muted. Reviewers described it as great in a dim studio, but underwhelming in daylight. It's also limited to 60 Hz, so motion feels a bit sluggish for gaming or fast editing work. It's dependable, accurate, and quiet, not just exciting. Coming up, a gaming monitor that finally nails speed and image quality, but skips a few creature comforts along the way. The Dell G3223Q. Now this is fast, but a stiff performer and almost gets everything right. A 32-inch 4K display, 144Hz refresh rate, and full HDMI 2.1 support. It's clearly built for gamers who want next-gen console compatibility or high-end PC visuals. Performance-wise, it delivers. Input lag is low, motion looks clean, and the panel handles color surprisingly well for its price range. But ergonomically, it misses the mark. The stand doesn't support portrait rotation, and the screen's glossy finish makes reflections hard to ignore in bright rooms. HDR brightness reaches around 600 nits, which is solid but not stunning. In darker scenes, you'll still see grayish blacks, typical of IPS panels. Still, compared to earlier models, it's a big leap forward, just not the perfect all-rounder Dell wanted it to be. Let's push refresh rates even further with the Gigabyte M27QX. Now we're talking serious speed. This is a speed demon with a weak stand. The Gigabyte monitor takes things up a notch with a 27-inch QHD IPS panel, a 240Hz refresh rate, and 1 ms response time, making it one of the fastest monitors in this entire lineup. Gamers love its smoothness, input lag is minimal, colors are vibrant, and motion clarity is impressive, even in fast-paced shooters. It also covers over 95% of the DCI-P3 color space, which means you're getting both speed and strong color accuracy, something most monitors in this range can't balance well. But the build quality doesn't match the performance. The stand feels flimsy and lacks full adjustability, and without a proper swivel or height control, it's awkward to position perfectly. Still, for around $400, it delivers elite-level responsiveness that's hard to beat. If you can forgive the weak stand, it's a powerhouse. Next up, a budget mini LED monitor that punches way above its price, but not without a few flickering flaws. ASUS Q2724D. Now, this one genuinely caught people off guard. This is a budget HDR surprise. It's a 27-inch 1440p mini LED monitor with a 180Hz refresh rate, and it delivers HDR performance you wouldn't expect from a budget display. We're talking up to 1,000 nits of brightness and deep, punchy blacks. For around $250, it's one of the few affordable monitors that can actually produce convincing HDR highlights. The contrast ratio jumps to around 4,000:1, and colors look rich and well-balanced. It's not perfect, though. Users report occasional VRR flicker when frame rates fluctuate, and ASUS firmware isn't the most refined. Still, for gamers or creatives who want real HDR without breaking the bank, it's an impressive effort. It shows what budget panels are finally capable of, with just a few rough edges left to polish. Next, we leave the budget category behind and go ultra-wide. Literally, with a curved OLED that delivers one of the most immersive gaming experiences money can buy. When it comes to immersion, few monitors can compete with the Alienware AW3423DWF. This ultra-wide showstopper is a 34-inch ultra-wide QD OLED display and brings cinematic depth and color vibrancy that traditional LED panels simply can't touch. With a 165Hz refresh rate, 0.1 ms response time, and that signature Alienware design, it's built for gamers who want both performance and spectacle. The QD OLED panel delivers near-infinite contrast and excellent HDR brightness, around 1,000 nits in highlights, making dark scenes look truly inky, while still keeping bright elements intense and detailed. Motion clarity is fantastic, and colors look beautifully saturated without crossing into overkill territory. There are some small quirks, though. Some users report minor VRR flicker, especially when switching between frame rates, and like most OLED, it needs a bit of care to avoid burn-in over time. But overall, this monitor redefined what immersive gaming looks like in 2025. Next, we're stepping into true flagship territory, a 4K OLED that combines breathtaking visuals with blistering 240Hz performance. MSI MPG 321URX. The 4K OLED powerhouse. This is what happens when OLED technology and raw performance collide. The 32-inch 4K QD OLED monitor runs at a staggering 240Hz with a 0.03 ms response time, a combination that delivers both pin-sharp visuals and fluid motion few monitors can match. Everything about this screen screams premium, perfect blacks, vivid HDR with up to 1000 nits of peak brightness, and exceptional color accuracy right out of the box. It also includes a built-in KVM switch and USB-C 90-watt power delivery, which makes it surprisingly practical for creators switching between laptop and desktop setups. The only catch? You'll need serious GPU power to actually push 4K at 240 frames per second, and that limits who can truly take advantage of it. Still, for anyone who can, it's breathtaking. And that brings us to the very top, the monitor that takes everything great about OLED and refines it even further. The Asus ROG Swift PG32UCDM, the king of 2025. Here it is, the current crown jewel of gaming and visual performance, the Asus ROG Swift PG32UCDM. This 32-inch 4K QD OLED masterpiece runs at 240Hz with a lightning-fast 0.03 ms response time, delivering a picture so sharp and responsive, it almost feels unreal. It takes everything great about MSI's 321URX, the speed, the HDR punch, the OLED contrast, and dials it up even further. Asus added better heat management, refined anti-reflective coating, and a dual-mode feature that lets you switch between full 4K clarity or a faster 1080p mode depending on what you're doing. Color performance is outstanding, rich yet accurate, and HDR highlights hit that cinematic wow factor most monitors only pretend to offer. It's expensive, sure, but it's the rare display that truly earns its price tag. Whether you're gaming, creating, or just want the absolute best image you can get, this is it. So that's the lineup, from the monitors you should avoid at all costs to the ones actually worth your setup. And honestly, the gaps between them are bigger than most people realize. If you're upgrading soon, make sure to check the updated links in the description for the latest prices and deals. They change fast, and if you found this breakdown helpful, stick around. I've got another deep dive coming that'll help you avoid even more overpriced gaming gear.